All right, hey, 7 o'clock. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the, what do we got here? Thursday, May 23rd, 2024 meeting of the Columbia Association Board of Directors. Few housekeeping notes before we get started. This meeting is being streamed. It is a hybrid meeting, both online and in person. Welcome to everybody here and everybody either actively participating or listening online. If you have a cell phone or other device, if you could please silence it or preferably turn it off. As we go through our meeting tonight, I want to make sure everybody's heard, and I don't want any electronic devices going off and not being able to pick it up by the microphones here. With that, we'll get started here. Start with our roll call. All right. Chris? Chris is not here. Ashley? Sky?
Here.
Reg?
Here.
Karen?
Here.
Mike?
Here.
Eric?
Here.
Colin?
Here.
And I am here. And Dennis?
I didn't make a list.
I'm learning the ropes here. Here we go. It's, all right, sorry. Mr. President.
So are we ready for the Columbia update? No, you're still on the agenda.
Right, no, I just got my roll call done here.
Okay.
Let's see, as far as timekeeper, we have a fairly short agenda tonight. No one volunteered, so I'm going to try and keep time on my phone. So we'll go with that. Let's see, announcement is closed meetings. We did have one closed meeting, March 9th, 8:50 here at CA headquarters. The vote to close that was 9-0. We had one member at that time absent. Those present were, let's see, Chris, Ashley, Sky, Reg, Karen, Michael, Eric, Colin, and myself. The reason for closing it was Homeowners Association Act, Section 11B 111, Roman numeral et, III, consultation with legal counsel on legal matters. The meeting was closed at 8:50. It was opened and ended at 9:37. I think I got all the salient features of that closed meeting in there. Thank you very much. All right. Next, we have approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Moved by Reg. Second?
Second.
Second by Mike. Okay. Do we have any discussion on the agenda? Any opposition? All right. Having no opposition, the agenda is approved. Do that. Easy peasy. Moving on. The Columbia update.
So I'll get started. Late last month, we did a tree planting in Hopewell, and it was a volunteer effort that was organized at the request of some residents. And I like to think that it's not only the big projects that you do. In my world, we fight for every inch. And this inch was 60 trees that we planted with volunteers, and we also they also helped sow a wildflower mix into an open field. So, and young and old, it's a great example of CA reaching out into the community.
We're at Hopewell Park doing a community tree planting. Trees are a really great way to absorb water. It'll help stabilize the soil. It can provide natural habitat for animals that depend on it, and all the trees that are planted here today were all native. We have volunteers here today. We really like to get engaged with the people involved. That way it feels a little bit more special. They feel connected to their community. It helps them have a very hands-on experience and learn about the benefits of planting trees and taking care of their environment. This kind of event is really important to help people learn about the different sustainability efforts that CA is doing.
Continuing the effort to show that we do good work and have fun, we tapped our resident invasive expert, Eric Walker, to do a quick game-style show educational moment, which...
It's time for...
Eric Walker here with Polar Planet. If you guessed planted, you'd be right. This is Cornus florida, or flowering dogwood. It's a beautiful small tree or large shrub, has these large showy flowers with the flower clusters of yellow in the middle. This is a highly valuable native, and you can plant this at home.
Join us next time on...
We had a recent culture day at the sports park, and I don't know, probably most of you know that we have an internal DEI committee, and we celebrate all the different cultures and diversity in the organization. And this is a great example of how we can get to know our team members better and all the different cultures that we help to represent. So the next one is probably the most important video. I'm not sure, most of you might not know that May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and we sent our 2 top investigative reporters out into Colombia to interview people and to help to find out what mental mindfulness really means. So I'd like to pay close attention to this one.
Do you ever feel big feelings?
All the time.
All the time?
Yeah, like who doesn't get big feelings?
Today, Karen, I want to talk to you a little bit about feelings. What are you feeling today?
I'm feeling good.
How has the day been? How are you feeling today?
Good. I didn't have any homework.
What are you feeling here today? How do you feel today?
Energetic.
Are there some things that you do at home that make you feel energetic or happy?
Riding my bike, which I can't do right now because I fractured my wrist.
What else makes you happy?
When my mom lets me have stuff.
What do you feel when you are punching and kicking? How does it feel after you're all done?
You're very tired.
What else makes you happy when you're having a good day?
Animals.
Do you have a favorite animal?
Panthers.
Do you have a pet panther?
No. I have a doggy. Why is the camera on?
When you're having a bad day, how do you feel better?
I play with my dog outside. Then I pull the ball for eating and playing with my tablet.
What do you do when things hurt or you're sad or you're angry about something?
Cry. And when I'm angry, I yell.
What does your angry face look like?
What else makes you feel better when you're having a bad day?
Fishing. Playing video games, just doing some hobbies.
What helps you feel better when you're sad?
Happy.
If you do have a bad day, how do you make it a good day?
We play freeze tag.
What do you do when you feel scared or sad or bad emotion?
Kind of dodge those emotions and try and think of other things.
Do you have a go-to when you're having the worst day to make you feel better?
I think about a field of flowers, and there was this one place that fit my picnic blanket perfectly, and I just laid on it, and thinking that I had a perfect day.
What is your advice for feeling better?
Giving love.
Who gives the best hugs in your life?
Me.
How can I feel happy?
Just play a game and this ear thumping and relaxing and sweeping, and that will make you happy and really happy.
Do you have any advice for grown-ups who are having a bad day or feeling big feelings?
Playtime. Read.
Read. Okay.
Or watch silly shows. Maybe fish, play video games, maybe play some tennis. Invite them maybe to your house, or you could, like, after class, give them some tips about how to, like, dodge or be quicker. Of all of you out there, don't take everything out on other people. If you make a mistake or something, don't blame it on somebody else. I'm a very wise child.
You are.
I might even go. How much more longer is this?
I am all done. Thank you for your time. Bye, guys.
That is cute.
Once again, CA was a key partner in Books in Bloom, and as an organization, CA can add more value when we partner with other organizations in the community, and we do that often, and Books in Bloom is a great example of adding value to the community and doing more with others.
Arts and culture within the community of Columbia, Maryland, and capturing that, I think, is a very important aspect of the story of Columbia. When James Rouse and his companies wanted to create Columbia, he wanted to create a full community. So that allows somebody to foster what they like to do. And arts and culture is a huge group of things. It's music and different types of music and different organizations that foster that. And it's just one part of a full community.
The value of art in a community is that it keeps it alive for all ages and accessible. Everyone should experience art in one way or another, whether it's viewing it or participating, trying a new class, or getting back to doing something they haven't done in a long time in the art field. Columbia Association saw the value of preserving and continuing art and saw the Art Center as a wonderful investment to keep the arts available close by to the community. Columbia Association has and continues to have such a strong support of the arts in the community, and its Art Center is one of those ways that it gives to the community. I think it's incredibly valuable for all ages to be able to participate with classes and workshops, and I think that with our summer art camp and gallery shows, we afford people the opportunity to express themselves and maybe learn something they wouldn't otherwise. One of the most valuable ways we can keep timely and credible is our partnerships, through our partnerships. And working with them and collaborating just strengthens what we can offer the community. And I think CA is very, very supportive of reaching out in the community and creating these partnerships on all types of events.
One of the things that makes Columbia a unique place is we have the ability to seek out partners and to build unique programs where everybody can have a say or everybody can have a voice as part of that process. You can't have a great functioning society without art. And here at Columbia, if you look back towards the 50 some odd years of Columbia, you've seen that celebration through art manifest itself in different ways. And you see it in the form of dance and painting and visual arts. I think what Columbia Association really brings to the table is the ability to reach every neighbor and to ask them, what do you want to see? What is it that you value? And how can we align those in terms of making an annual, celebration or a series or whatever we can do to really make sure that we are providing residents with the experiences that they want to see and the way that they want to participate in. The Columbia Association Lakefront undoubtedly gives a home for making professional, free, accessible arts experiences possible. I think it's at the intersection of great space meets professional presentation and professional artists coming together. Our partnership with Lakefront Live really started with how can we better serve our residents? How can we welcome people to the lakefront who haven't ordinarily felt as welcome to the lakefront? And to really take that approach is really important. Our diversity is such a strength in terms of our broad range of different cultures and people that come together at the lakefront.
The lakefront is our town square. The lakefront has always been a draw, but in the last few years, it feels like CA is sort of reawakening to the importance of the lakefront. So to see so much programming there and to see it more alive with people helps to bring more folks to downtown, helps for people who've been coming to the lakefront for long to see the new face of downtown. When I come to downtown Columbia, I see Columbia. I see all ages, I see all races, I see diverse groups of people hanging out together, having fun, going to our great restaurants, going to concerts, and just enjoying this community that we're creating. Having a vibrant downtown is what makes a place a real city. Downtown belongs to everyone, and to have a thriving downtown has effects that splinter out throughout the entire community and make it a great place to live, work, and play. Everyone who's lived in Columbia for a long time knows Columbia Association, and those residents have a voice through Columbia Association. Working in close collaboration with CA just makes sense. We are aligned in our missions. While CA is working to make Columbia as a whole greater, the partnership is working to make downtown Columbia as a whole greater. It's, partnering on events. It's making sure we're staying in close communication on all the things we do. And it's making sure that, we communicate in good faith with each other and work together to make sure this place stays as special as it's always been and can grow to something even better.
Partners really make us stronger. From the standpoint of the Columbia Arts Center, we feel very validated by what our community members and our participating artists have told us in terms of events that have been partnered with. They've been very supportive to us, and the community has seen that, wow, these places know how to marry together and produce events that really impact the community.
One of the things that makes Columbia special, because we've always kind of prioritized art from day one, and how we do it might change, and how it comes out might look different for different groups, but I think it's important that we maintain that history of having accessible arts, and you certainly see that still across this community.
All communities have to evolve. You have to welcome new residents. That's what makes a place grow and get better.
One thing that's pretty remarkable about the arts and culture in Columbia is that it's the people that live here that are creating it. They literally created it out of nothing. Columbia was a brand new community that was starting. There wasn't many resources here yet. They made it themselves in order to flourish what the arts and culture is today in Columbia, which in many cases is nationally renowned, which is pretty remarkable.
So I closed that one by saying I was at an event at the Oakland Mills High School that Meriwether Arts and Cultural Commission was doing. And as I was there, I was thinking, well, how can we work with them together? And so we are working with them to create a concert series at Slayton House. CA, the MAC, the Meriwether Arts and Cultural Commission, and the Village are working together, something that we couldn't do separately, but we're adding value. And just as a reminder, there is so much good that happens in Columbia, and we are much recognized and much awarded. And CA is absolutely a remarkable organization. Are there things we could do better? Sure. But overall, 98% of what we do is right on the money, and that's why we are so often recognized. Because, Howard County does a good job, but really what adds value, what makes us different than every other place is CA. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Dennis. It's just a quick note that the folks in Wild Lake are excited about collaborating with CA on that music series, and we look forward to having that. And just another you got a quick glimpse there. The umbrella decorating is coming up soon for Lakefront Live. That's always a special event, so please head down to the lake and take a look at that, or even get an umbrella and participate. That'd be awesome. All right, moving on. Next on our agenda, after Columbia update, Resident Speak Out. We have 3 people who've signed up for Resident Speak Out tonight. Our first member is Kat Wee. Is Kat in the back there? Okay, we'll come back to Kat. Number 2 is Julie Howard. Welcome,
Hi.
Julie.
Hi.
Are you speaking for yourself or an organization?
Yeah, it's me.
Okay. And just to give you a heads up, I'm going to give you 3 minutes to let you know.
Okay.
I'll try and give you a heads up when we're getting short on time.
Okay, that should be enough.
Okay.
Okay. So as you all well know, the mission of Columbia Association is to welcome diversity, foster the growth of individuals, and cultivate a sense of place. And I'm here, even at this late date, to discuss the elimination of a unique sense of place for many CA members. Although I'm here on my own, I do actually represent a lot of CA members who depend on the women's gym at Supreme for their health and fitness journey. The renovations for Supreme were announced recently and apparently necessitate the elimination of the women's gym. While these changes were being planned, the members who would be most affected were not informed, considered, or listened to. Even a few weeks ago, the suggestion box was removed from the women's gym, and I know those cards were full of frustration and disappointment and anger. We have heard that one reason for this change is that most women do not use the women's gym. Not all women take the restorative yoga classes or recover classes or use the racquetball courts or bring their kids to Kids Space either, but each of these matter to somebody. The benefit of a large facility like Supreme, which is over 100,000 square feet, I think, is that these unique places provide fitness opportunities for different kinds of people. The women's gym is tiny. It takes up probably not even 2% of the entire building and contains a limited number of weights and older machines. However, it provides something invaluable, a space that affords comfort and safety to those that require that type of environment. By taking away the space, CA needs to understand what will be lost. Each of us have a vital and personal reason why the women's gym is integral to our ability to reach fitness goals. There have been many discussions in the women's gym about this closure. People who depend on the privacy from being hit on constantly or stared at, people who have spiritual or religious boundaries, people who need the freedom from self-consciousness that this provides, people who have suffered trauma or are wounded by criticism. This unique judgment-free sanctuary has been key to our ongoing fitness journeys. By eliminating the women's gym, it reinforces all the endless voices that insist that women sacrifice their needs and their concerns for everyone else. Our society is communicating less and less respect for women. And years ago, with great sensitivity, CA built these facilities to serve a community in a supporting and nurturing way. That need is as strong now as it ever has been, if not stronger. And it is currently serving a more diverse population. So it's hard to see that women are being ignored because we don't complain as loudly, or we don't take as much space as men. We're taught from a young age to accept the judgment of others and sit quietly while other people decide what's good for them. This decision is not good for everybody. It threatens a loyal and vulnerable group of CA members, and it betrays their trust. And it would be very encouraging to see some reconsideration of finding a space for the women who need this, and it's essential for their fitness. Thank you.
All right. Ms. Howard, I think I have a question from the board, if you don't mind.
Sorry.
Thank you very much for your testimony tonight. So if the Columbia Association goes forward with its plan to close the women's gym, will you and others quit the gym?
I think people have various responses to this. I mean, some people say they will only go to this one. It's like there's a bunch of older women who live in the area of Supreme, and they're not going to drive to Columbia Gym. So maybe they'll go to the Over 50 Center or do something else. So there are people who are going to do that. Some people were looking into, I mean, when CA first started, there were no other gyms around here when I first moved here. Now there's a whole bunch. So people are looking at those options. So I think it depends on the person.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Oh.
Was this renovation decision something that the board approved or requested when it happened? This a staff-directed
It's an
question.
operational decision.
Is an operations.
Operational. Okay.
The board wasn't involved. Okay. And is there any further down the line plan that we're aware of right now for creating women's spaces, or as of right now, it's just eliminating it for Supreme Sports?
Right now, it's just altering the space at Supreme.
Got it. Okay. Thanks.
Reg?
Thank you, ma'am. Not yet.
Sorry.
It's okay. When were you told or given heads up that it was coming?
There was a sign posted on the door of the women's gym, I don't know, maybe a month and a half ago, something like that. And so I think part of people's frustration is you find out it's a done deal, and there was no opportunity for a conversation.
So nothing, you were not told ahead of time, saying, hey,
Right.
we're discussing this. This is something we're considering?
That was what, yeah,
Okay.
people's concerns were. I mean, there are people who have come to Supreme since the women's gym was locked. You had to have a key to get in when it was first opened, and they've been coming ever since. I mean, these women are in fabulous shape in their late 70s.
Okay, last question is, any idea how long it's going to be in this condition?
It's closed.
I mean, period.
Yeah, that's our understanding, is it will not reopen.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
So, thanks.
Eric, did you have one last question there?
Actually, this is going to ask the same question. Is this a permanent change or is this temporary? It's permanent. And the follow-up question I have is, for people to have a one-fit membership to Supreme, does that basically exclude them from any women's gym? Are they now no longer able to access a women's gym if they've got a one-fit membership to Supreme?
Anybody who's wanted to transfer to Columbia Gym has had their membership transferred.
Okay, well, that's good news at least. All right, thank you very much for your testimony tonight. And Mr. Bob Dover is next.
Sorry. Hi, folks.
Good evening, sir. Are you speaking as an individual?
And as an individual, yes, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Please proceed when you're ready.
One of the most persistent claims of the stream restoration companies, which has been repeated frequently by the CA staff and the WAC, is that the stream restoration projects are quote-unquote tightly regulated. This phrase has been used multiple times in the past year by the staff to defend their watershed projects, but just saying these words doesn't make it true. In fact, the TMDL general permit is largely based on what is called a self-verification process. The regulators don't conduct any of their own field investigations or inspections, and they don't perform technical reviews of the project documents. Instead, they only know what they're being told in the monitoring reports. If the monitoring reports withhold actual field data and replace it with unsupported claims about how successful the project is, then the regulators would be falsely manipulated into believing that these projects are successful and are achieving environmental benefits. I'm not just guessing that the Longfellow reports misled regulators in forming this kind of a positive impression. I know so from having read their emails on the subject. Recently, I contacted a regulator to obtain information about the corrective action that took place at Longfellow in October. I didn't know it at the time, but it turned out that the regulator was completely unaware of the situation. He responded to my inquiry by contacting SHA to find out why he hadn't been informed that a corrective action had taken place months before. He pointed out that the monitoring reports he'd read didn't make any mention of corrective actions. He also didn't seem pleased that the first time he was hearing about this was from a resident, me, instead of from the permit holder. And that email chain also made it clear that he did not even have a copy of the project monitoring plan in his files. So that tells you how tightly these projects are regulated. The next time the staff defends the merits of the projects by claiming they're tightly regulated, I hope you'll ask them what that actually means. If the regulators have been left to learn about corrective actions from the residents and don't even have copies of the critical project documents in their files, that is the complete opposite of tightly regulated. I've been writing and reviewing these types of environmental reports for federal agencies for 32 years, and I've never seen a project that is so completely unregulated as these stream restorations. I've now compiled dozens of Longfellow project documents. This is just a few of them. And this is just one of many concerning issues I found in them. So you'll be hearing more about these in upcoming speakouts. I'm only giving 3 minutes at a time, so this is going to last for a few months. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dover. Any questions? All right, thanks for coming out today. All right. And once again, as Kat Wee showed up. Okay, all right. Thank you all for participating tonight. We'll move on in our agenda here. Actually, this is at the point where we're going to transfer from, are we going to transfer at this point? But I don't think I've ever been at a CA meeting where we didn't have people online. So do we need to transfer? I'd like to ask the IT folks that. Nope. All right, well then we're just going to keep moving on unless there's a need for a recess. Moving on we shall. This is great. We're efficient. All right. Consent agenda. The item on the consent agenda is the approval of the draft minutes from April 25th, 2024. Is there any comment or discussion on the consent? All right, so we'll approve the consent agenda. We do not have any new business on tonight's agenda, so we will move to our old business. First item on the old business is follow-up on the 2024-2029 strategic plan. If the board will give me just a moment here as the board chair. We have a document that has been transitioned from the FY24 board to our FY25 board. and that serves as kind of the basis of the discussion here today. We've allotted 30 minutes for the discussion. A few things that I just wanted to highlight on a top tier level, that as we go through the discussion, I want to make sure that we're clear on the scope of what we want to have in a strategic plan. We should probably speak to the timeline that this board wants to adhere to in order to approve a strategic plan this year. We need to address, at least on an initial level, any staff resources or demands we need in order to complete the strategic plan, and what role any consultants would play. That's a pretty big picture, but that's kind of aspirational. And we could start. Karen, if you'd like to start off.
Yeah. I want to make a motion. I want to make some comments, but I want to make a motion. I think that we should not do anything with the strategic plan until Sean is on board. I think that the exercise that we went through on Saturday, excuse me, was incredibly valuable. I don't think we need consultants anymore. I think we're where we need to be. I think we need a vision from Sean when he comes in, and then go from there. I don't think we have what we need to make any decisions. Yeah, so my motion is that we defer this until Sean is on board.
I'll second the motion to table.
Okay, hold on. I just want to make sure I got the wording right here. Is this take no action, or is this table?
Remind me what tabling is again, because I want to table this until Sean is here. We had a discussion about tabling weeks ago, and
So do you want to not discuss it tonight?
yeah, I don't think there's any point to discuss it.
The motion is to table.
Yeah.
The motion is to table?
Yes.
You guys are making a motion. I just want to make sure.
I'm making a motion to table the strategic plan until Sean is on board.
And I seconded the motion to table.
Okay, all right.
Is this time for discussion?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm not the chair.
As soon as I got it
Bill,
all
would you
written
like
down
to
to make sure I got the motion right. Yes. So
I need to put all of the shortcuts for Robert's rules on my screen.
if I can, just for clarity.
Yep.
We have a motion on the table or a motion on the table to table the strategic plan until the new president has taken
The strategic plan discussion.
discussion or strategic plan. What?
Thank you for waiting till my mouth was full.
Sorry.
I would like to table not only the discussion, but any votes. I think we should wait till Sean is on board to discuss and have any votes.
Okay, so just table the entire thing.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So around the room here, we've heard from Karen, a little bit from Sky. Ashley, did you want to complete a thought there? I kind of cut you off.
So the board has had some emails regarding the strategic plan, and most of us, I believe all of us, agree that Sean should obviously be here and be involved to contribute to the strategic plan. He'll be responsible for implementing for ideally the next 5 years at least. Part of what we're missing is also going to be metrics, which ideally the staff is going to be involved in providing to us some ideas. So my concern with tabling it, because Sean, I know he'll be here for an introductory meeting. I don't know what his official start date is. But if we also don't allow the staff any heads up on what they may be requested to do, that giving them some idea of what the request may be down the line would give them some time to start working on that. I realize establishing focus areas may be the difficulty for that, but.
Bill, can I respond?
Yes. Karen.
So I agree with you, Ashley, but I think that we could live on the existing strategic plan until Sean is on board, and we could give the guidance then. I don't see any problem with waiting. I mean, we're not going to die tomorrow if we don't have a strategic plan.
Well,
right?
I hope not.
Let's just live with the one we have.
Totally agree, yes.
Is there any other, Sky?
What was the decision last month at the last meeting?
That's in our minutes that we just approved. Yeah, I believe we accepted the document, but we did not approve the plan. I believe that's the wording that was surrounding that.
And I understood it to mean that we will make the decision this year whether to accept it or revise it.
For clarity, and I'm speaking here, is I believe for this board this year, we will either move it forward and approve the strategic plan that was started last year.
For 5 years.
It's a 5-year plan, yes, or we will not. So, is that clear? Everybody else pretty, all right. Mike, did I see your hand?
Yeah, I agree that we shouldn't be making any decisions on the content really of the strategic plan until Sean is here. But I think there's still some valuable discussion that we can have amongst ourselves to kind of better prepare ourselves and make some progress. So I just say I'd be opposed to tabling it just carte blanche. But I do agree that we shouldn't be making any decisions about the content or anything without a lot of staff input.
Okay. Anything else? All right, at that point, Eric, yes.
I'd like to call the question on the motion to table, considering that the idea of tabling motion is to table the agenda item in the motion onto a future agenda.
And did you want to name that agenda, or should we table it?
No, we're just tabling it.
Okay. All right, well then, since we've called the question, we'll go down the line here. Ashley?
Can you repeat the motion?
The motion is to table the strategic plan until the new president is in place.
What's the start date? June 17th.
June 17th. I will tell you that historically, the Harper's Choice representative always says, "Come back to me," but
Great.
that is historically what has happened. With all due respect to the former Harper's Choice, it did happen
And
once
that's
or
before the
twice.
next board meeting.
He is a great guy.
Say that again?
And that date is before the next board meeting.
He'll be here for the next board meeting.
Thank you for the clarification. All right, we will go with Reg.
So I'm confused here. Yes is, I want to table it.
Yes, you would like to table it?
Okay, the answer is yes.
Yes for Reg. Karen?
Yes.
Yes. Mike?
No.
No. Sky?
No.
No. Eric?
Yes.
Yes. Colin?
No.
No. All right, Ashley?
Yeah, I'll go with no.
No? Okay. So that's, and Chris is still, has Chris joined us? Just checking? No? Okay, and then that leaves that to me, so I will say no. So the motion fails.
Well, what was
Colin.
the vote count?
It
5
was-
to 3?
It's 5-3. Is that right? Yes. Okay.
No, 3 to 5.
I'm sorry, yes, the way we properly report would be 3-4, 5 against, no abstentions. I'm sorry, 5 against, no abstentions. Okay, so.
Colin has his hand up.
Colin?
So one of the things that I just wanted thinking about, because Ashley, your comment is actually what got me thinking, because I just don't, my pause is if we recognize and want this to be a staff-centered guiding document, and it's going to be acted upon by staff over the next 5 years, I don't want them to be caught off guard for the next month. I'd rather, and I completely hear the points of like, we should wait until Sean is here, and I agree with that, but I also, if there are conversations staff could be having over the next month, I think that may be helpful and a good use of their time as well, so I'm trying to balance that.
We're going to go over on this side here. Reg?
Thank you. I understand what you're saying, but I want you to consider that we have a pretty sharp staff. Regardless of how we voted here today, they were still going to go in and start looking at it and making their recommendations. They were not going to wait around for us. So I appreciate what you said. I really feel that waiting for Sean to come in probably was the better idea, but this is America. We go with the vote.
I appreciate that. We're going to balance the conversation. Sky's hand was up, and I'm going to come right back to you, Karen, okay? Sky?
As far as the timeline goes, he arrives mid-June. I'm assuming it's going to take a couple of weeks to find his way and figure out which building is which, and then in July, start meeting with the senior leadership and the board, and then July's over, August is, everybody's gone. So I don't see this discussion starting till September. I'm just putting that out.
Okay.
If it may start like at the end of July, and then people kind of meet on their own and start thinking about it in August, but I don't see a real push to discuss it until September. Obviously, I'm wrong.
All right. Karen?
Yeah, I mean, I want to reply to Colin, and then I also want to respond to what Sky just said. So the number one thing is the staff is already existing under a plan. And while the board sets strategy, we're also expecting this to be the performance goals for our CEO. And our CEO should be able to say, can they meet those performance goals? And my personal opinion is if Sean walked in the door and saw what we had approved and said he doesn't like it and he wants to throw it out the door, I'm going to vote yes, that he should be able to do that and we should start from scratch. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So I don't think that we're blindsiding staff. I think, you know, we have somewhat of a document. We do have some idea of where we're going. We just need that vision level. And Sky is right, you know, like he's going to come in, he's going to have a lot on his plate. Is the strategic plan going to get done immediately? Probably not. But again, I don't think it's I really don't think it's the end of the world. I think we just live with the existing plan that we have, and we'll get what we get when he's ready. I think that's a perfectly fine thing to do. He's brand new. I really feel like this is a way for us to help him be successful. That's really critical.
Okay, Eric, I'm going to go to Mike next, and then I'm coming right back to you, okay?
So again, I mean, I agree with what you're saying, Karen. Like, we shouldn't have a plan waiting for Sean when he walks in the door, and we shouldn't really discuss the contents much until he can participate in those conversations. I totally agree. I think the things that I believe we can discuss tonight, because this is the only meeting before Sean shows up, is just making sure that we're on the same page as what purpose we think the strategic plan should serve, which is a very high-level conceptual conversation. And then second, just in broad strokes, what we think we're going to do to move forward. Because we all know we're going to change the plan, and if there's ideas of the process we think we're going to use to do it, I think those are things that we can discuss tonight without, and you know, if Sean shows up and said, hey, we should change that, then we can do that then, but there's no reason not to make progress right now. Okay. So I just for the sake of moving things along, I'm going to make a motion on what I think the purpose is, and then we can have a discussion about that. So I'm just going to say that I'm going to make a motion to establish.
Mike, just before you do that, I would like to get that motion, but I want to hear from Eric before you make the motion, so we can put a button on this.
That was actually my question, because I want to raise a point of order that I'm not sure what motion we're discussing right now.
That's what I'm trying to help with.
So okay. There's no, I believe there's no motion on the table, so I'm trying to figure out
we should actually be discussing
what were we discussing? Is there a motion to move the strategic plan?
We are moving on this. I have a gentleman who would like to make a motion, a gentleman who requested a motion. Let's start cooking.
So I'm going to make two motions, but I'll save the second one for now. Well, maybe if this one gets passed. So I want to move that we establish the purpose of the strategic plan to provide CA staff guidance on what we want them to achieve, maintain, and change in CA over the next 5 years, and provide an ability to track CA's progress towards the established goals.
Okay, I'm going to ask for a second on that, but you're going to have to restate that for me because that is a paragraph.
And I think that's
it's in your
compound
email, but
motion.
Okay.
Hasn't that always been the purpose? I mean, I feel like that's always been the purpose of the strategic plan.
Let's get a second and then we'll discuss, okay?
I'll second it just so we can talk about it.
Thank you. Okay, question.
Hasn't that always been the purpose of the plan? I mean, I'm confused.
I don't know. That's why, then this should be an easy vote.
I mean, it just, sure.
Okay, if we have no other discussion.
Does this have a purpose in here? At the current.
I'll give you an extra.
Am I missing something? I mean, I just searched.
Sure.
Hold on.
Oh,
am I missing something? Because I don't understand if this is already the intent of the strategic plan. I don't understand where you're going with your I mean,
Watching the discussions over the last year, and including on watching the discussions or participating in the discussions last Saturday, I couldn't really get a sense of what people conceived the purpose of the strategic plan for was. Like, if this was the plan, people seem to be way all over the map and not really sticking to that purpose. So this is just me trying to get a hold of, like, is this what we all agree that the purpose is? And if we all do, then this should be a pretty simple, non-controversial motion.
Okay. Hey, just so I've got this straight, your motion was to establish a purpose of the strategic plan.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have a stated purpose? Is that what we're voting on, or are we voting on the establishment of a purpose?
The establishment of the purpose for the plan.
Which is?
To provide the staff guidance on what we want them to achieve, maintain, and change in CA over the next 5 years, and provide an ability to track CA's progress towards the established goals.
Okay. Everybody got that?
Can you repeat that?
It's in your email, but provide the staff guidance on what we want them to achieve, maintain, and change in CA over the next 5 years, and provide an ability to track CA's progress towards the established goals.
That's complex because it's a complex, it's two motions in one. I think we can handle 2 in 1, but.
Okay. Yes, Eric.
I'd like to make an amendment to say that the purpose of the strategic plan is to set overall goals for the organization.
I'll second that.
Do we have a second? Any other discussion on the amendment?
Can you read what that would look like then?
Set the overall goals. What are the goals? That's the purpose of the strategic plan, is to set the goals for this organization. I literally took it from the first search I found on Google.
So, any other discussion on the amendment?
I think the difficulty with saying overall goals is it's lacking the specificity of the parts about what we want them to do within the next 5 years and ability to track against CA's progress.
You're right. And so the second part of it is to establish the overall goals and to develop a plan to achieve them. So sorry about that.
Just catching up, Eric, you moved.
Yeah, I moved
Aaron
to.
or Reg that seconded.
I second.
Yeah, I moved to set the.
I think the difference that is unique between Michael's statement and Eric's is that CA has facilities and programs and services that we offer that the board may specifically want us to maintain, that we care about, and then things that we're open to changing or specifically want to have changed. I'm looking at the purpose that was written in our email that Michael's repeating and trying to sparse out, and that was kind of the issue that we have with the draft plan that we received, is how vague a lot of the terms are, right? And actually, I just did a quick search. There actually is not a purpose stated in the strategic plan. So having that added may be something we consider for the future.
Okay. Anyone else?
You got
Colin.
Hello. So what I'm thinking is, I'm wondering if we have, sorry if this is not Robert's rules, I apologize, I'm new here.
The amendment, that's all I.
Yeah, so I'm wondering about, Eric, you're talking about goals and objectives, right, specifically is what, okay. So I'm almost wondering if we have Mike's statement, but instead of saying guidance, we change it to goals and objectives. So provide the staff goals and objectives and what they should achieve, maintain, and change in CA over the next 5 years, and provide an ability to track CA's progress towards those goals. Is that okay, Aaron?
Finish your statement. I need to jump in here just for a moment, though. Please finish your statement.
I'm just trying to think of what we're trying to accomplish, and I think that it's trying to, I appreciate saying that we want to get at the goals and objectives of what we're trying to do. Yeah. all in there.
Just good information. We have an amendment on the table. I don't want to amend an amendment. Let's at least try and be clean on that. Mike, did you have a comment?
I was going to respond to Collins, but if we're not modifying.
That can happen after we get done with this vote on the amendment. Do we have any other comment on the amendment on this side?
Tell me what the amendment is again, please.
The amendment is to state
To set the overall goals for the organization and to develop a plan to achieve them. That's the purpose of the strategic plan.
goals of the organization and
to develop a plan to achieve those goals.
Develop a plan to achieve those goals. All right. Have we gotten to the point where we would like to call the question? Okay. On the amendment to set the goals of the organization and to develop a plan to achieve those goals, we will start with Colin.
Can I ask a question for clarity?
Yes.
When you say plan to achieve it, isn't that going into the how it's going to be achieved as opposed to the tracking of achievement?
I believe it's both.
And we don't go into the how of achievement in a strategy plan, right?
I mean, it's however we want to basically plan to achieve those goals. Okay. So yes, it can be both.
All right. Mr. Sullivan, would you like to start off?
No.
No. Eric?
Yes.
Yes. Mike?
No.
No. Karen?
Yes.
Yes. We're going back and forth. This is cool. Reg?
Yes.
Yes. Sky?
Yes.
Yes. Ashley?
No.
No. And I will vote no. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That is 4-4. That's the easy one to report. Motion fails on a tie vote. Okay. So the amendment has failed. We are back to the original motion. State the purpose of the strategic plan, or establish the purpose of the strategic plan and provide guidance.
Provide the staff guidance on what they should achieve, maintain, and change in CA over the next 5 years, and provide an ability to track CA's progress towards the established goals.
Mr. Sullivan?
I would like to amend the motion to read, provide the staff goals and objectives on what they should achieve, maintain, and change in CA over the next 5 years, and provide an ability to track CA's progress towards those goals.
And Mike?
So,
I need a second.
I'll second it.
Reg seconds. Mike, if you will, please. I'm sorry to interrupt.
If you are willing to tweak that a little bit, I'll accept it as a friendly amendment, and that include guidance in there. The reason being that I don't think it should just be goals and objectives, but that if there's additional information that the staff says, hey, we need you to put some of this, whatever guidance in here, prioritization, left and right limits, whatever that kind of guidance is, I think that's important to include in the strategic plan. And so I got no problem with the goals and putting goals and objectives in there. I just want to maintain that broader concept of what guidance can include.
Okay. I want you to write that down. That'll make it life easier on me. And while we're doing that, just a quick, we have 10 minutes left on this discussion. So need to bind ourselves to the question here. Do we have any other hands raised, any other comment on the motion?
Well, it's been accepted as a friendly amendment.
Oh, no, I'm talking about the general motion itself.
Oh, okay.
Or I'm sorry, the amendment and then the motion, right?
The amendment's been accepted as a friendly amendment with that modification.
All right. So on the, yes, Eric.
What is the motion?
What is the amendment?
It's a friendly amendment.
Yeah, so what's down?
So the motion is now provide, Colin, correct me if I'm wrong, provide the staff goals, objectives, and guidance on what they should achieve, maintain, and change in CA over the next 5 years, and provide an ability to track CA's progress towards the goals.
Okay. All right. So we have that as the motion. And we're going to say for our first full meeting this year, great motion, but we should be a little more concise for future meetings.
Well, I mean, I could have just made it approve the thing that I sent to everyone in an email earlier today.
That wouldn't work
Public,
either.
we need it to be in public.
It's got to be read.
Understand, and we got to be able to do complex things.
All right. So, I was hoping to wait for you, yeah.
Eric's.
So are we now discussing the main motion?
Yes, and we're just transcribing the main motion so we can make sure everybody understands it.
And we went through, and we started this process little less than a year ago, going through consultants, going through this whole thing. And right now, I'm a bit unclear what the purpose of creating a purpose is. I'm not sure what the purpose is.
Well, Mike?
It's to make sure that we're all on the same page when we get to having discussions about the content of the plan. If we haven't all agreed on what the purpose the final document will share, we could be all over the place on the content that needs to be in it.
Okay.
Right? For example, whether there should be specific hows in the plan and how prescriptive it should be, and whether or not we need a whole bunch of statements about values in there and things like that, right? That's why I think we need to have that conversation.
And to our initial discussion, I think this would be helpful for Sean as additional guidance with the document that will be provided to him as he takes a look at this.
So the second question I have is, if the current strategic plan in our packet doesn't align with that purpose, does this now just ditch the current strategic plan?
Well,
I'm not sure if this aligns with that purpose or not. So if it doesn't, does this current strategic plan that's in our packet just go away now?
I guess I don't know how to answer that. I mean, I don't know what it means for it to go away. It's just like we've just accepted it as a thing that's been provided, right?
Is the existing strategic plan, the draft, fit for purpose?
And if it doesn't meet the purpose, then we've got two conflicting statements. We've got a purpose, and then we've got the current strategic plan that's in our packet. Okay. And if those are in conflict, one would need to.
All right. All right, Orna, I appreciate the discussion. We got to facilitate it, though, so we're kind of just speaking out of turn, and we'll get to everybody. I just want to make sure that we do it in a proper way. And we're doing good. I just want to make sure we're back on the road. I saw Sky's hand first.
You said we accepted the strategic plan. We did not approve it.
Sky, I would be specific about that and say we accepted the document. We did not necessarily accept the plan and say that the plan was accepted. We accepted a document that speaks to the plan. Okay. I think everybody would agree to that. If they don't, please let me know. John, I saw a hand up there.
I think I would say exactly what you said. If you look at the motion, it was to accept the submission of a plan. So you just basically said, we got it. I don't think that obligates you to do anything. Like, you could go with it, don't go with it, whatever you want to do. All you did was, yeah, you guys did a lot of work. We recognize that. We got it.
Yes.
So you take it from there.
Right. Okay. Mike, then Eric.
Yeah, John said what I was going to say much better, but also I think the answer is kind of no, it doesn't go away. That's good. That's a good starting point. We all think we need to build on that, and it doesn't go away. This is just establishing the purpose for what we want to develop going forward.
Eric?
So John made an interesting comment that, yeah, we accepted that we got it, we received it. We basically said received, and we could either take it or leave it. I mean, that's basically, but that's a decision that we have to make as a board. So the question I have is, are we making a decision to take it or leave it right now? And if we're not going to make that decision, the question I have is, how does this purpose jive with the current strategic plan, which right now is serving as the basis of our strategic plan?
Okay. I think you make a very good point, Eric. I'm going to go to Ashley. I saw this over here in the corner of my eye. Then I'm going to go to Karen, and then I have a comment. And
I think the idea would be that we review each of the strategic focus areas and objectives that are in it and view them through the lens of the purpose that we have. Is it going to aid the staff on what they should achieve, maintain, and change in CA over the next 5 years and provide an ability to track CA's progress towards the goals, right? Like, we would have to review each of those bullets through that lens and see if we want to keep each of those bullets, or is it just fluff that has been added to make the document longer and make it sound good. So it's not that we have to accept the entire document as a whole. We as the board can decide if we want to strike something from it and alter it for us, or for our purposes.
okay. Yeah. Thank you. Karen.
Yeah, Ashley actually spoke to what I was going to ask, is that who's going to decide whether or not it's fit for purpose? So I guess Ashley is suggesting that we, the board, need to do the analysis. We're not going to hand that to staff. And then the second thing is, what happens to all the work that we did on Saturday? Because we did some really, I mean, honestly, we came up with 4 focus areas, and I thought we did some really good work, and we decided, we made some decisions. The board hasn't voted on it, but how do we integrate that work into what we have here?
All right, I have 2 hands over here. Just a reminder, we're at 8 o'clock. We're kind of at our allotted time for this. We are moving ahead pretty well. If everybody wants to go for another 15 minutes, do I have just a show of hands that we'd like to talk for another 15?
Yeah, let's just do it.
We got 4 or 5. Okay, we'll go until 8:15 on this. I got Sky and Mike, or Mike and Sky, which?
Good. Do you mind?
Go ahead.
I just think this is, the current conversation is just a false distinction, right? This purpose is not intended to throw out any of the work that's already been done. It's just meant to say, hey, going forward, we're working towards that as the purpose, and we can absolutely build on what has been provided so far. So the answer is no, it is not throwing out any of those things.
All right, I think what we'll do is we'll have Sky, we'll have Karen, I'll have one more question after that, and then we'll vote on this, okay? Karen, I'm sorry, Sky?
Yeah, can we operate without a plan for several months or a year, without a strategic plan? And secondly, what we arrived at over 6 months was 5 strategic areas, and what we arrived at Saturday was 4. These 4 were not 4 out of the 5. I suggest that maybe we meld them together and come up with 7 or 8 as a start.
Okay, thank you for that comment. Just before we get there, can we operate on our current strategic plan?
Yes.
Okay, so that's the answer. That was an easy one. I do want to do a little quick sidebar on that so we could establish that. Thank you for the question. Thank you for the answer. Karen?
So we've now gone over our time for this discussion. We've added extra time, and this is why I really thought we should table it, because I don't think we have any really good direction on this board right now about where we want to go.
Okay.
We actually need a Sean or someone in here to facilitate the discussion to help us make the decisions. His vision, what we think we want, those types of things, because we're going around in circles here. And we're not making, I mean, we've made progress on Michael's amendment or his motion, but we haven't really discussed anything that was on the agenda, so.
Okay. All right, well, what we'll do is all right, Reg, and then we're gonna vote.
I call the question.
Thank you, sir. Good job, good job.
Thank you.
All right, so the motion on the table, and I will read it again as best I can. All right, here we go. The motion is to set the purpose of the strategic plan as provide the staff goals, objectives, and guidances on what they should achieve, maintain, and change in CA over the next 5 years, and provide an ability to track CA progress towards those goals. On the question, we will start with Sky.
Yes.
Reg.
Yes.
Karen.
No.
Michael.
Yes.
Eric.
No.
Colin.
Yes.
Yes. And Ashley.
Yes.
Yes. I will vote yes. And that one is, that is 6-0. The motion passes.
6-2.
I mean, I know that we're in the minority, but we're not zeros, man. Sheesh.
0 abstentions, I'm sorry. 6-4, 2 against, 0 abstentions for clarity. My apologies. So, all right. All right, last thing I would, since we have just a few minutes, and I don't want a deep discussion on this, but I think it would be helpful for Sean and the rest of the staff, if we can get a motion on the table to take the work product that was generated last Saturday, codify that, and share that with the board and the oncoming president so that it is available for future discussion.
I'll move to do that.
Karen moves.
I second it.
I think Colin seconded. He was the quick one, so.
You don't have a motion.
All right.
I don't understand what we're saying.
We're just saying, all the work that we did on Saturday, we want to make sure it's written down and available. The result of that Saturday discussion is written down and available for the board and the oncoming president for future discussion. Dan?
I just want to clarify, I believe Marion is taking care of that and will be sending that to us.
I think she said
Tuesday. So you're saying this motion is null?
We'll pass it on once the consultant, Marion, sends it to us.
Yes,
but
it was Tuesday. Okay, so it'll,
That's being taken care of for us.
okay, well then, Karen, will you withdraw your motion?
I withdraw my motion. There you
We're
go.
moving fast here, all
I'm
right.
trying to help you out here.
Thank you. I can use all the help I can get. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, next topic on the agenda. This chair thing is such a paperwork thing. Here we go, I got it. Old business 7B. We will say TransPro proposal regarding the orientation of a new CA president and CEO. This was part of the package for the search firm and yeah, Eric?
I move to approve the Transpo consulting proposal as stated in the packet.
Okay,
I'll second that.
all right. So we got Karen, Eric and Karen,
Dennis has
and Dennis wanted to provide some input, yes?
So first, I'd like to say that we have reached out to Sean. He'd like for this to wait until he's seated. Susan has a few thoughts, perhaps, to.
Yeah, so Patrick O'Malley was not available this evening, so I'm just covering this. So the most important thing, I think, is, as Dennis said, that Sean would like to hold off until he gets here to engage these services and can make his own assessment. And that was the primary point. And then there are some procurement-related or contracting-related issues that were noted in the memo.
Okay,
Bill, I have a question.
yes.
He doesn't want this?
He asked that he would like to hold off and evaluate that with the board when he gets here.
So,
I think he didn't want it chosen for him,
Okay.
but I don't want to put words in his mouth. So.
I'd like to know why this communication hasn't been shared with the board.
Yeah.
We got it today.
Yeah.
I could email today.
What's the question?
Bill, have you seen the email?
Why hasn't this
I have not.
communication between Sean regarding this proposal been shared with the board?
It just was.
No, like Sean's
Email.
email. Why hasn't Sean's communication regarding this?
Phone call.
It was verbal.
So we're all learning about this in real time here. Nobody has any prior notice of this, no board members.
That's not what he's saying.
Yes.
So before we get too far down the road, so the reality of this, I think, is that the proposal, as stated, has the board diving into matters that the president should be diving into, which is the SLT and the organizational structure. The board works with the president and doesn't dive into individual staff members in the SLT. In addition to which, are we sure that TransPro is the absolute best firm to do the work? I'd say the answer, it can't be yes, because we haven't looked anywhere else. And are there likely firms that specialize this and might do a better job? Probably. And so if we have the president who'd like to wait, and I also believe that this should be something that comes out of the president's office and not run by the board, because it's a matter that concerns the SLT and not the president, then I think this should be held for Sean.
Okay. Karen, I just want to give the other side of the table a chance. You've been like 3 in a row, and I want to hear from you, but I just want to give anybody else a chance really quick, and then I'll come right to you. One on this side, Sky?
Yeah, I think whoever develops the onboarding plan should be local and should have an intimate knowledge of the CA organization and the people. I think the TransPro has probably done this for many organizations and has a different skill set for doing the onboarding plan than we would. But I think that Sean will be living and working here, and I think it's really important that the president's office and people here have a major role in the onboarding plan.
All right, thank you for your input. Karen, thank you for waiting.
Thanks. So one of the things that we talked, so first of all, we went through an entire RFP process.
Yep.
And we looked at several vendors who offered these services to do the search as well as the onboarding. So we vetted TransPro. Okay, so they've already been vetted. That's who we chose. My concern is that we need some handholding. We need somebody to come, we need somebody who's independent from outside the organization to ensure success. That was my biggest concern, is making sure that the new CEO is given every opportunity for success, that we give them that foundation, we give them the support that they need. I don't want it to be this board doing it. No one on this board is qualified to onboard a CEO. So I get that Sean wants us to wait. I understand that, but I'm a little concerned. I really don't. I have concerns about us not using TransPro in any shape or form for this onboarding. I think John Lewis did a great job for the search, and I think, they have a track record on this.
Okay, we got hands coming up. Thank you, Karen. Thank you very much. I got Dennis, Sky, and then I'm going to come over to Reg. Eric, please remind me that you're next in the queue because I'm keeping it all in my head right now.
So I'll let Reg go. I mean, I've already gone once, so.
Okay, Sky?
The "we" that you've been talking about we being the board, and I am thinking of we being the organization and the president's office, because we are, the board is outside the CEO and the executive committee and whatever. So it's the onboarding is going to be giving Sean the best ammunition to do a good job, as you said. But the board will see the final product a year down when we evaluate him. I don't think we should be intimately involved, and so I'm redefining the "we" to mean the employees of CA rather than the board.
I don't think the
Okay, all right. I'm going to go to Reg.
Well, Susan had her hand up first.
Okay.
No, I didn't. You were in the queue. No, I don't.
Reg, everybody wants to hear what you have to say.
I bet, yeah, I'm sure. Okay, so when Karen and I were on the group of three that shake your head if you want, but we were the ones who vetted the group, and we thought we had a pretty good group. And one of the things that they said in there is that, hey, when we bring this candidate to finality, that we picked a person, that person we're going to make sure that we're going to walk with them and get them through. I think it was 30, 60, and 90 days, I believe, and that they were going to help indoctrinate and bring them in and help them to understand. Now, John, who we chose, was actually, he used to live here, and he understands Columbia, understands what we're doing and where we're going. The other part of what his group did is they said, you know what, they understand the candidate. They understand Sean because he got a chance to meet with him, talk with him, and times when it was just one-on-one with him, John, Sean and John talking. So he got chance to know the guy. And I think John is under the belief that, and I haven't talked to him, but he's under the belief that he's going to be helping Sean get ready to go into, to his new job. And I think that that's what they were, counting on, hoping for.
All right.
So if we bring on someone new, that person's going to have to spend time getting to know Sean, getting to understand what Columbia is, the Columbia Association. So I think we need to look hard at what we're going to do and not do something that's counter.
All right. Thank you, Reg. Mike, just a moment. Both Dennis and Susan said they would like to defer to you until they spoke. I want to offer a chance if you guys wanted to speak at this point.
I do want to clarify the contracting and the policy compliance. So when TransPro submitted their proposal that you guys selected for the services, those were optional services that were not part of that scope of work. So that part has not been scoped or competitively bid. This is separate work that hasn't met that policy requirement. So that's what that's the purchasing director's assessment, and that's what we do. So, and it's clear, it was option that we would never proceed like this with a staff submitted proposal. That this is optional work that needs to come out of that. It's over. Appropriately increased the bid limit, but it's $25,000. So this needs to be competitively bid. unless the price is below 25.
Okay, fair point. Dennis, did you have anything? And then Eric, I'm coming right to you. I know you're there. We wanted to make sure we got some input from the staff.
So as I read it, the proposal is broken, the additional scope of service is broken in the two categories. One is onboarding, and the other is the diving into the SLT. And a couple things. We have a pretty robust onboarding program that we have developed in-house. This is not the first president that's ever worked for the organization, right? So we've done that part of it before. So getting someone else up to speed in 30, 60, 90 days, Sean's going to be here for by the time they get up to speed. Sean will be fully up to speed on the onboarding. And then the other part of it, I come back to again, diving into the SLT is not something that should be directed by the board. That's for Sean to do. They are his employees. They are not. The president works for the board. The other employees work for Sean, or the president.
Got it. Okay.
Could I add I'm sorry, it's clarifying this. So I think that if the point, and it's important, is to help Sean be successful and the board to be as successful collaborating, then scope those services and get that proposal for that.
Okay, all right. Eric?
So two things. One, there's a limited amount of time. Our next meeting is not until the end of July. And if we keep pushing this down the line, it'll get to the point where this will be OBE. It'll be pointless if 6 months down the road we're still debating this. I mean, he'll be onboarded one way or another. Two, our purchasing policy does allow for exceptions, and the board is allowed to approve exceptions to the purchasing policy. We have in the past. It's something that does get done and can get done. So I will modify my motion to make an exception for the board to make an exception to the purchasing policy to approve the TransPro contract.
I'll second.
Mike, and then I'm going to jump in the queue.
Yeah, so, one, I think we should defer to what Sean's desires are, and so for that reason, I oppose the motion and the amendment. But I also want to ask a clarifying question. When you spoke to Sean, I think I understand what you're saying is that he said, hey, let me get there and make a determination if we want this type of support to help me on board. Did you also have a conversation with him about that alternate proposal of like, hey, maybe there's something else to do other than what's in that TransPro option that has more to do with having a consultant help the CEO and the board establish some working relationships? Did you have a conversation with him about that?
It wasn't a long conversation,
Okay.
but that was a point that was made. That
And he
for
wanted-
any services, including that, to help facilitate that relationship. That's why I did want to make that statement.
Got it, thank you.
All right. Just inserting myself in here, my quick comment that I'm going to Ashley. It just seems to me that based on the information we have here tonight, that Sean had communicated that he would like to be in place for this. I think that we should try and help honor the oncoming president. And if we were to table this until the next meeting, that could happen and it wouldn't be a huge delay. Suggestion on my part, I'm just going to put that out there. I'm going to defer to Ashley, who probably has much better things to say than me.
With this topic on the agenda, my concerns already were not having Sean involved. I believe he should be involved in the decision about plans, especially $40,000 plans that are involved for how we integrate him into the organization, but also especially because this does include his staff. To what Dennis was saying, we have very well documented 90-day plans for all new CA staff presidents. In the past, Milton Matthews, he made the decision on his own and was able to process and vet vendor selection for organizational structural review. And then also, I have my own personal concerns about using in any organization that uses the predictive index assessment. I am a huge fan personally of personality assessments. I think they are a fun communication tool. However, they are not a good use of showing employees' competence and how they're going to get along within the organization. And I know that's one of the big selling points in the TransPro proposal. So that alone is a reason that I would want to scope out the work and find another organization.
Okay, I'm going to quick jump in here, and then I'm going to go to Sky, and then I think we're going to have to vote on Eric's amended motion here. I think when we were talking about the strategic plan, there was a very strong will of the board that Sean should be very involved in looking at the plan and not making a decision without his input on the strategic plan. We move on to our second topic tonight, and it seems that we've got an indication that Sean would like to be part of this decision-making process also. And I think that it would be good for this board with an oncoming president to show some consistency. I'm not going to say good or bad, yes or no, but I think consistency is a good message to send out at this point. Sky, I think your hand was up, and then if we're ready to vote, we'll vote.
Yeah, I just have a quick comment about what Ashley said about the predictive index. We did not use it in the selection at all. We had no discussions about each individual candidate's predictive index category or whatever. I'm not very familiar with it. I'm a Myers-Briggs practitioner. Myself and Alan together have decades of work with Myers-Briggs. And that would have been and still is my first choice. So I agree, we paid for the predictive index and we didn't use it. That's all. It's an aside.
Okay, all right. I think we're going to call the question at this point, unless there's any other discussion that needs to be made. Very good. The motion to approve the TransPro onboarding proposal with the exception to the purchasing policy to exceed the $25,000 limit. Is that correct, Eric? Did I read that? Karen?
I just have a quick question. Were you going to make a motion to table this until Sean came back?
I said that it would be, I thought tabling was a reasonable idea, but that has not been picked up by anybody on the board here.
I am willing to, do you want me to make that motion for you?
Yeah, if you feel so moved, I would certainly entertain it.
I move that we table this until Sean is here.
I'll second it.
Okay.
I'll withdraw the motion.
Karen, Reg, seconds, and...
I withdraw the motion.
Oh, we have withdrawn the motion. Okay, very good. All right, do we have any other business regarding the TransPro?
We have to vote on my tabling motion?
Table.
I believe that if Eric has withdrawn the motion, we have nothing to table.
Okay.
Are we clear on that? Is everybody?
Yep.
Thumbs up? All right. Do we have any other business regarding the TransPro proposal? All right, well then, if that is the case, we shall move on. On to questions only. President's report. And the report from the Ann Arbor Trust. So, Ann Arbor Trust, who is going to give the report from the Ann Arbor Trust?
If there are any follow-up questions, we'll take them.
Yeah. Okay.
So, Trust.
Yeah, okay, Ashley, and then Reg.
We're doing president's report first, right?
Yeah, I would hope.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's not technically a question. I just wanted to add, because I was really excited about some of the updates. One of them for the Kindle Ridge part, I'm really excited because I'm already one of the scheduled renters for the new pavilion that you've put in. And then there was another one, a highlight that I wanted to add that wasn't in it in my full-time capacity. I get to plan large group activities within our Columbia-based office to encourage our employees to use our volunteer days. And shout out to Katie Kirk, if she's watching this, for Harper's Choice Cares, who linked me up with Natalie and Eric here from Columbia Association, and who we actually saw in the videos for the Columbia report, because they helped me organize a large-scale group volunteer event where we planted, I just got the numbers recently, 195 plants along the Longfellow stream restoration. So there are there are not very many nonprofit organizations that can accommodate large group volunteer projects. And so really, I just wanted to give you guys kudos for being able to do that. And Eric and Natalie were fantastic for doing that.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Reg, did I see your hand up?
It was. I was going to ask Dennis real quick. I haven't heard anything from IAT regarding board meetings or anything. Have you?
They've had to cancel. Nina's had some family.
Yeah, I knew that.
Work through, so they just canceled the next one also.
Okay.
So I'll talk to Nina and see if maybe she can't come and give a 10-minute quick
Okay.
update, something like that.
All right. Anything else for the president of the IAT? We are closing in on this, folks, here. Proposed new topics. Okay. I'm going to throw out one proposed new topic. I think we should have either some established meeting time or put together a work session for ourselves to establish some board goals for the year. I think we did a great job with the retreat over the last weekend with our training and team building and stuff. But I think maybe a little bit of setting goals for ourselves for, what we should do by the end of April of '25 would be a positive discussion. So if we can get that on an agenda, maybe we pick it up at the BOC. Everybody feel good about that? Or at least reasonably warm? Okay. All right, which leads us yes.
I know I've heard, I think John mentioned a couple times that there's work on the village management contracts being done, and I think if we can get that on an upcoming agenda at some point, that would be good to have as new business sometime in the near future.
Okay. Well, let's get it on an agenda, and then we'll work out the invitations too. Would that be fair? Okay, good. All right. Good that we're forward-looking there. Chair's remarks. Eric, did you have something? Okay, great. First of all, thank you all for suffering through my first full meeting here. It's been a little bit of a roller coaster at my end. I appreciate everybody's help tonight. Thank you for a great discussion. And I just want to close, and I'd like to try and do this a couple of times this year. This isn't going to work very well tonight because we had a fairly light agenda, but in future meetings, I'd like to go around the room and just let's try and figure out what we did to make the residents' lives a little better tonight. We can just, if you have something, I'd love it, but I don't think we talked about the strategic plan and a TransPro proposal. Yes, Karen.
Last year, I got an amendment passed that we now have to notify our residents as part of the easement policy.
Yes.
That was a huge boost to all of our residents.
Very good. All right, thank you. So we'll try and work that in future meetings. So as we're coming for future meetings, please try and keep that in mind, okay? With that, I need a motion to adjourn. Reg, second by Mike. Any opposition to adjourning? We are adjourned. 8:26. Thank you. There you go.